Hi, my name is Natalie Breen, and I'm an account manager with Cummings Properties. 3 things that I would always suggest my client think of is to narrow down their location, their budget, and their timing. So with your location, you may think that's pretty obvious, but you really want to think about the why behind it. Are you picking a location based on where your employees work, or are you picking a location because you're client facing and you want to be readily accessible? Those are 2 very different things. Your budget, that's something you want to narrow down. A lot of times people will come in, they'll have a number in mind, but they're not thinking about all of those other things. Your moving costs, your insurance, fitting out the space. So you want to have a real holistic conversation about what that looks like first. And then of course your timing. You want to think about when do you need to be into the space and back out from there. A tip that I would advise anybody looking for their first commercial space is just get out there and look. People don't really think in square footage. So when you hear 2,000 square feet, you might think you have an idea of how big or small it is, but let's just go out and stand in a space that's actually that size and see if that's what you envision for your business. Oftentimes it's not, and that's okay. We can pivot while we're out on showings and look at any of Cummings space. We have over 11 million square feet to look at. A mistake I often see people make is they come to me with a budget in mind and they've been out to look at other space and they're not asking the key question, which is this a triple net lease or not? When you have a triple net lease, you might have a lower per square foot number that can make it seem really appealing. But what you don't realize, especially for your first commercial space, is this number isn't all that it seems to be. There's a lot more that goes into what you'll actually be paying out of pocket. You're also paying for things like building expenses, landscaping, snow plowing. If you have a really bad winter, those costs can go up quickly. So something I always ask clients when they come to meet with me is what types of spaces have you been looking at? Because Cummings has a modified gross lease and you don't pay for any of those things. Typically, after you've been in your lease for 3 to 5 years, things have changed. Hopefully your business has grown and it's a great time to reevaluate and figure out what do you need in your next space, or can you get your current space to continue to work for you? If you need more space, don't be afraid of moving. People often get very attached to their first commercial space, and that's understandable. But one of the great things with Cummings is we have an expansion guarantee. So if you come to me and you say, hey Natalie, I really need an additional 2,000 square feet, we are going to find it for you at any point throughout your lease. Now, if you love your space and you're not quite ready to move, something we can work on together is reconfiguring the space to make it work best for you. So maybe you have the square footage that you need, but you simply need to rearrange that layout. There's a lot of creative ways to look at things to figure out if from your first lease to your next, is it time to move, or is it really just time to reconfigure the space? Something that's worked for me in my 10 years at Cummings Properties helping people find space is asking them to trust me. A lot of times folks will come in with this picture in their head of it, this is exactly what I need. And it might be close, but not perfect. After doing this day in and day out for years, oftentimes I will show clients a space that is not on their radar and doesn't seem to exactly fit the parameters that they gave me, and it can end up being the perfect space. One of the first things I ask people is always why they're moving and what's causing them to leave their current space. Otherwise, we could invest a lot of time looking at spaces that just don't align with your priorities and what you need right now. It's really important for me to give back to my community and in my hometown of Medford, where I serve as the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I grew up giving back and watching my family do so, and it's just something that I love to do. And it's something that I get to continue to do at work through Cummings Foundation. They do such great work giving back to local organizations and nonprofits who do so much for our community that it makes my work really fun. Leasing a commercial space is a big deal. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to pivot based on what the answers to those questions are.